In this video, I'm going to rank the 15 strongest arms in NFL history. The best part about a video like this is that it's entirely subjective, so it's guaranteed to start arguments. Enjoy. Number 15, Randall Cunningham. The ultimate weapon was truly incredible to watch during his prime with the Eagles. Randall was gifted physically with everything you could ask for, amazing athleticism and a rocket arm. Many of his highlights are either him with the Eagles launching a deep throw after breaking out of a sack, or with the Vikings throwing a bomb to Randy Moss. His deep throws could wobble a bit, which is why he's not ranked higher, but his arm angle to launch the ball was very unique. I wonder how good he could have been if he took the game more seriously early in his career. Number 14, Doug Williams. He's most known for being the first black quarterback to win Super Bowl MVP, but he should really be most known as the most impressive number 12 to ever lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a conference championship game, which he did in 1979. Stat categories like completion percentage and passer rating underrate Williams because he was throwing the ball so deep so often, as his 13.7 career yards per completion will tell you. And he certainly had the arm to support that style of play. Let me just say that the NFL would be so much more fun to watch nowadays if every quarterback played like Doug Williams. Number 13, Jay Cutler. Cutler was known for not caring and being aloof, but nobody ever doubted the strength of his right arm. He had a funky delivery and was maddeningly inconsistent throughout his entire career, but purely on arm strength, he makes this list. He could throw the ball a mile and with decent velocity, although personally his lack of velocity on some of his throws drops him down to this spot for me. Oh well, if Cutler sees this, I'm sure he won't care. Number 12, Warren Moon. Moon was known for throwing the prettiest spirals in the league when he played, but it takes more than a pretty spiral to make this list, as Moon also had the arm strength to go with it. It's incredible to think he didn't play it down in the NFL until he was almost 28 years old and still finished his career with almost 50,000 passing yards and 291 touchdown passes. Damn you, racism. Moon's throws were piercing and very distinct, although from what I've watched, he wasn't able to generate as much power on the run as some other quarterbacks, which is why I don't have him ranked higher in these categories. Number 11, Patrick Mahomes. Surprised he's this low? Blame Jackson. No, I'm just kidding. There's no praise I can give Mahomes that hasn't already been said 100 times over. He's got a rocket arm and he's really fucking good. When it comes to pure unabashed distance, he can go 75 plus yards. He's also capable of firing bullets while on the move, but I must say when I watch him throw that I am underwhelmed by his deep throws a little bit. He seems to struggle throwing consistent spirals, and therefore his throws lose velocity. Trying to discredit Mahomes' arm is a fool's errand, but I'm just splitting hairs here. Number 10, Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw has played the buffoon role on television and film for the last several decades, so people forget that he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and 1978 league MVP. While his career stats are bad by today's standards, he was known for his cannon of an arm, and almost all of his greatest highlights are him slinging the rock downfield really fucking far. Simply put, Bradshaw was a gunslinger in the truest sense of the word, having zero fear of any throw. And in his defense, he had the arm to make just about any throw, so the confidence was warranted, most of the time at least. Number 9, Matthew Stafford. People can debate all they want about whether or not Stafford is an elite quarterback, but nobody can deny he was blessed with a rocket launcher for a right arm. He's routinely made throws of 60 plus yards in the air without really giving his all. He is perhaps unfairly known as a guy who just threw up a lot of bombs to Calvin Johnson, but he actually had his best seasons after Megatron retired. Stafford can throw off of any platform and has the mentality that he can make any throw, which, like many others on this list, can get him into trouble at times, but on pure arm strength, very few have ever been on Stafford's level. Number 8, Burt Jones. The Ruston rifle Burt Jones was, essentially, John Elway before John Elway. He was physically similar to Elway, standing at 6'3", weighing around 210 pounds. He wore the number 7 and had a fucking bazooka for an arm. Jones was putting up good stats at a young age in the pre-Mel Blount rule era, which made it excruciatingly tough to play quarterback. From 1975 to 1977, he was arguably the best quarterback in the league, and he won MVP in 1976 at age 25. He was on track to become one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history before injuries to his shoulder took him down. I thought you all might enjoy the history lesson. The NFL didn't start in 1980 after all. Number 7, Josh Allen. Like Jones, Josh Allen also reminds me a bit of Elway, but in the sense that both are greater than their stats. Allen is like a wild stallion, and on any given play, you never know what he's going to do. Of course, he's also been gifted one of the strongest arms in NFL history, which, combined with his mentality, creates for an exciting must-watch quarterback. But this list is about arm strength, not watchability, and if you're just talking about getting the ball from point A to point B, very few are on Allen's level. His throws don't always have the same velocity of other strong arm quarterbacks, so he lands here, but it is truly wizard-like shit watching him play, especially when he doesn't have his feet planted and he makes a wild throw. Number 6, Jeff George. George had by far one of the most interesting careers in NFL history to me. He was known for having a rocket arm and a 10-cent head, which is why he bounced around the league so much, but outside of his original stint with the Colts, he actually had some really good seasons with Atlanta, Oakland, and Minnesota. Yet he wore out his welcome everywhere he went. Still, the reason he kept getting so many chances was his rifle right arm, and the ability to flick the ball 60-plus yards without using his hips or lower body to create much torque. Watching his throws, they seem to lack the velocity of the best, but distance-wise, he's up there with anybody ever. Number 5, John Elway. You knew he was coming at some point. Unlike the aforementioned Jeff George, Elway used a ton of his lower body and hips to put velocity on his throws, and combined with his already naturally strong arm, created one of the best gunslingers to ever play. Old heads absolutely swear by Elway despite his mediocre stats, while the younger generation thinks he's overrated. To me, I think he was legit. Watching a ton of Elway's throws, his velocity on short to intermediate passes was insane, but I will say his deep ball could sail at times, and it was somewhat underwhelming to me if I'm being honest. He was an effort thrower, so that could be why people think he threw the hardest, because he always looked like he was throwing the hardest, much like the next name on this list. Number 4, Brett Favre. The ultimate gunslinger. Like Elway, Favre had a cannon and he put every ounce of his body into his throws to give them some extra pop. I gave him the slight nod over Elway because I think Favre's deeper throws had a little more zip on them, but surprisingly, neither Favre or Elway were jaw-dropping mobile throwers in my opinion. They needed to have their feet set to really uncork lasers, which is why they, and the others listed before them, are outside of my top 3. Still, Favre's throws were so amazing when he had his feet set that he has to rank this high. Sure, he might have thrown the ball to the other team several hundred times, but the amount of broken fingers and torn gloves from players he played with and against trying to catch his throws speaks more to his arm strength than anything. Number 3, Justin Herbert. He's only played 2 seasons, but let's be real, he belongs here. Herbert has ultra-rare arm talent that allows him to make any throw to any part of the field at any time with velocity. Unlike some other guys on this list, Herbert doesn't need his feet set or a bunch of momentum beforehand to unravel a 70-yard laser. I guess the only thing preventing him from ranking even higher is that he just doesn't have the sheer number of laser throws yet in his career that those ahead of him had. But if his first 2 years are any indication, he'll arguably be number 1 on lists like this by the time his career is over. Just an absolutely magical thrower of the football and a joy to watch when he lets it rip. Number 2, Michael Vick. Michael Vick, really? Yes, really. Vick's arm talent was legendary. In fact, when you combine his legendary arm talent with his legendary athleticism and mobility, it's a wonder why he never became a Hall of Famer. Well, I mean, we know why, but still, he underachieved so badly in his career compared to his physical gifts. Anyway, back to this list. Vick's throwing motion looked like a whip, and the ball would just shoot out at super fast speeds from his hand. He could throw for distance and velocity with the best of them, especially on the run. He was a truly special talent, but there is one more quarterback with even greater arm talent. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers. There is literally nothing Aaron Rodgers can't do when it comes to throwing a football. He can throw for distance as well as anybody ever. He can especially throw for velocity as well as anybody ever, and he does so while being pinpoint accurate. The last part is the most important reason why he's number 1 on my list though. Never have I seen another quarterback who can combine distance, velocity, and accuracy the way Rodgers does, especially in his physical prime before the collarbone injuries. Even after his injuries, he still possesses the ability to put the ball anywhere he wants, 40+ yards downfield with ease. I know Hail Marys are essentially luck-driven, but Rodgers is so successful on them because he has the ability to get velocity and height on his throws that nobody else can. Once you remember he's also one of the smartest quarterbacks of all time to go along with his arm talent, you get a truly dominant player who, in my opinion, is the best quarterback of all time.